Hello, everyone. This is William Armstrong here with the Technology News Update. I'm going to talk about trusted platform module vulnerability that spells big trouble for billions of devices. This article is written by Siad. I cannot pronounce his last name very well, or pronounce their last name very well. It's on Tech Radar. It's published by an hour ago. This is a 1 minute read. Cybersecurity researchers from Quartz Lab have discovered two vulnerabilities in the Trusted Platform Module TPM 2.0, which could spell major trouble for billions of devices. The TPM 2.0 is a chip that PC manufacturers have been adding to motherboards since mid 2016. The technology, as Microsoft explains, is designed to provide security related functions. The chip helps generate, store, and limit the use of cryptographic keys. Many TPMs, the company further explains, include physical security mechanisms to make them tamper resistant. The TPM 2.0 flaw. Now, researchers Francisco Falcon and Ivan Ars have discovered out of bounds read CVE 2023-1017 and out of bounds write CVE 2023-1018 vulnerabilities, which could allow threat actors to escalate privileges and steal sensitive data from vulnerable endpoints. The impact of the flaws could differ from vendor to vendor, Bleeping Computer said. The CERT Coordination Center published an alert about the flaws and claims to have been notifying vendors for months. However, only a handful of entities have confirmed they are impacted. Known as the Computer Emergency Response Team, or something like that. It says here, an attacker who has access to a TPM command interface can send maliciously crafted commands to the module and trigger these vulnerabilities, warned CERT. This allows either read-only access to sensitive data or overriding of normally protected data that is only available to TPM, example given cryptographic keys. Organizations worried about these flaws should move to one of these fixed versions. TMP 2.0 v1.59 errata version 1.4 or higher. TMP 2.0 version 138 errata version 1.13 or higher. TMP 2.0 version 116 errata version 1.6 or higher. Apparently, Lenovo is the only major OEM that already issued a security advisory about these flaws, with others hopefully set to follow suit soon. To abuse the flaw, a threat actor would need to have authenticated access to a device. However, any malware already running on the endpoint would have that prerequisite, the researchers warned. Basically, a trusted platform module, known as a TPM chip, is a chip used by Windows and or may also have Linux support at some point. The TPM chip, called the Trusted Platform Module, and this is a chip that is a device used for cryptographic keys. The TPM chip is common in laptops and desktops, and the computer I've got for my birthday of last year, it has TPM 2.0 in it. Now, Lenovo confirms that they are impacted by this, but other manufacturers are soon to follow suit. I believe even TPM version 1.2 is probably unaffected by this, but it's been discovered in TPM 2.0. Now, some computer manufacturers like HP will rely on AMD for the TPM chip, or like HP may use AMD hardware, which includes AMD's TPM chip, which is AMD Trusted Platform Module. For Intel computers, it may use a different TPM manufacturer. Infineon is actually a different Trusted Platform Module. Let me search for it. Fin, Fine on Infineon. Okay, there's a company called Infineon that manufactures trusted platform modules too. So let's go to search. See, these are TPM chips you can find on HP.com that are chips you can install in a computer. Some TPM chips come pre-soldered on the motherboard. But here's one from Infineon that is another manufacturer that makes TPM chips. Some chips are embedded in computers. Some have an external header pin that you can install an additional TPM on top or install a new one. But this is from Infineon. This is a Optica TPM Trusted Platform Module by Infineon Group. So this is an example of a TPM that is used for security. Most desktop PCs and laptops are going to have TPM chips in them, but that's about it. It is a security processor module that is known as TPM firmware in most computers. Windows 11 requires TPM 2.0. Windows 10 works with TPM 1.2 or TPM 2.0, but Windows 11 specifically requires TPM 2.0. But here is the support article from Microsoft saying how to update your TPM firmware. It tells you, warning, do not apply the TPM firmware update before you apply the Windows operating system update. Doing so will make it impossible to determine whether your system is affected. So basically, things like that. You may get a prompt in Windows 10 to update your TPM. There are different manufacturers. HP, computer manufacturers, HP, Toshiba, Panasonic, Lenovo, Fujitsu. Infineon manufactures the TPM, but most manufacturers rely on Infineon. But my new laptop uses an AMD Ryzen CPU along with the AMD TPM. But this is where you would get the firmware to update your trusted platform module. Things like that. TPM is used with UEFI UFI Secure Boot, which is a technology used on modern machines that are 64 bits. So I'll show you what UEFI is. Basically, its definitions for Unified Extensible Firmware Interface, which is different to EFI, but not to be confused with anything too much. But UEFI.org is a site that talks about the platform firmware used for booting and its interface for interaction with the operating system. So a lot of computers will have a UEFI chip on them that replaces the BIOS, which was present in personal computers that are IBM PC compatible. The EFI, Extensible Firmware Interface, specifications is different. In 2005, UEFI deprecated the EFI 110, the final release of EFI, then later started requiring UEFI directly to allow you to adjust booting of the computer or booting from secure boot operating systems like Debian, GNU, Linux. I think Ubuntu and Debian have secure boot support added. OpenSUSE does too. But Linux beforehand didn't really have much UEFI secure boot support. Things like that. So I'm not going to read a lot about this, but it has compatibility with backwards compatible with MBR, known as Master Boot Record. UEFI to secure boot uses GPT, which is actually a partitioning record called the GUID partition table, or GPT. Master boot record is MBR, which MBR is used with the standard BIOS interface that is not UEFI enabled. But later computers that are 64-bit and or with Windows 10, Windows 11 are going to be UEFI. My first time encountering a 32-bit computer with UEFI was a Acer Iconia Tab W510. Let me show you. So Acer Iconia Tab W510 was a tablet I had back during when COVID was getting out of hand. Well, this is the computer right here that I'll circle that is discontinued, but it ran Windows 8. 8.1, which is Windows 8.1 is out of date. But this is that hybrid computer that I used to have that got used that came with no charger, but it was in working condition. And it originally had Windows 8 installed on it, but it was upgraded to Windows 10. Note that at the time I had this used, I should have put Windows 8 back on it because Windows 10 worked with it, but it wasn't able to receive any Windows 10 future build updates due to the system on a chip was an Intel Atom 32-bit processor that was not 64-bit compatible. Therefore, it was a 32-bit chip that was Intel Atom. This computer came in two parts. You had a keyboard dock that acted as a charger plus dock with USB on it. Then the top half of the tablet was the touchscreen, camera. The Windows 8 logo was haptic feedback enabled. It had a sensor tilt switch. It had a like a mute switch. It had a power button. It had SD card, micro USB for OTG connectivity, on the Go connectivity. It also had a micro HDMI cable on one end for HDMI support, connected to a TV. But this is the computer that is discontinued by Acer. That here it is taken apart, right down here. There it is dismantled right there. And this is pretty much that computer I made a YouTube video on a long time ago, back during 2020, right around there, during the pandemic that I got, that had a dock. You could swing it backward as a touch tablet, like sitting on a dock that you could charge it off of, or you could fold it into a laptop form factor. It was pretty slim and not heavy. But one day I mistakenly cracked the computer. I cracked the touchscreen, that the computer slipped out my hand, hit the ground, and made a huge crack in the screen, which kind of ruined it. The computer, I couldn't find any specific case for it. Now, if I still had this computer in 2023, I would have used it with Windows 8 unsupported as a Windows 8 tablet, even though Opera browser and most Chromium-based browsers will not work on Windows 8.1 anymore due to Windows 8 being unsupported as of February 10th, 2023, or right around January 10th, 2023. But anyway, that's enough yabbering, enough blabbering for me. This is William Armstrong, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.